The Story of Rumpelstiltskin. Once upon a time there lived a miller and his wife. They had one daughter who was so clever and so beautiful her father and mother were always boasting about her. They not only boasted about things she could do, but about things she couldn't do, and one day when the miller went to see the king, he began telling him of all the marvellous things his daughter had done. "Your Majesty," he said, "you can have no idea how clever my daughter is. Last year she spun straw into silver, yes, silver, and this year she's going to spin it into gold." "What?" cried the king in astonishment. "Spin straw into gold? Impossible!" Like all boasters, the miller could not bear to have his story disbelieved. "I assure you, Your Majesty," he said, "my words are true. My clever and beautiful daughter is going to spin all my straw into gold for me, and I shall be a rich man." The king listened and wondered. "Miller," he said, "such a marvel I've never seen in my life. You must send your daughter to my palace and tell her I want to see her do this thing of which you tell me. I have plenty of straw that I should dearly like to see spun into gold." The miller began to feel frightened. He knew quite well that, clever as his daughter was, she could certainly not spin the straw into gold. He began to make excuses and to say that his daughter could not come. "I'll cut off your head if you don't send her tomorrow," said the king, who was quite determined that, if there was any gold about, he was going to get a good share of it. The miller groaned loudly, bowed, and left the palace. He ran home and told his wife all about it. "You foolish man," she scolded. "Now we shall lose our heads because of your silly tale." "You're as bad as I am," he grumbled. "I heard you tell the neighbours that our girl was clever enough to spin straw into gold, and I told the king. What are we to do?" "We must send our daughter to the palace," said the miller's wife, "and hope that, because of her beauty, the king will forgive her for not being able to do as you say." So the next day the miller's daughter was hurried to the palace. She was most astonished, for neither her father nor her mother told her why. They left her with the king, who took her by the hand to a large bedroom filled with straw. "And now, my pretty one," he said, "you must spin all of this straw into gold for me. Tomorrow morning I shall come back to you, and if you have not done as I command, I shall have your lovely head cut off." With that he went out of the room and locked the door. The young girl sat there in the greatest astonishment. "Spin straw into gold?" she said to herself. "Why, you ever heard of such a thing? No one can do that. Whatever does the king mean?" She sat and thought for some time, and then she began to cry bitterly. "I don't want to have my head cut off," she sobbed. "It isn't fair to expect me to do an impossible thing." She wept all morning and made her pretty eyes red. Just as she was wondering if anyone was going to bring her any dinner, she heard a noise at the window. She looked up. In hopped the funniest little creature with a long black tail that kept twirling in and out and round and round. Now," said the creature, "what's all this crying about? Tell me, what is the matter, and maybe I can help." "Oh, sir," wept the young girl, "the king has shut me up in here and told me to spin all this straw into gold. If I haven't finished it by tomorrow morning, I shall have my head cut off." "Dear, dear, dear," said the little creature, twirling his tail in and out. "What a to-do, to be sure. Now what will you give me if I do your task for you and spin all this straw into gold?" "Oh, I will give you this lovely necklace of mine," said the young girl. The little creature sat down at the spinning wheel and began to spin. The young girl watched him in amazement, for as the straw went whirring through his fingers, it changed into shiny threads of gold. Soon great piles of gold lay where the straw had been, and before night came every piece had been changed into pure gold. At last the little man jumped up, took the girl's necklace, and said goodbye. He twirled his black tail 3 times, and then jumped straight out of the window. The young girl went to sleep with an easy mind, and was awakened by the king coming into the room to see what she had done the day before. When he saw all the straw gone, and gold heaped up all around, he was too much astonished to speak. He stood there with his mouth open and stared. "This is good, very good," he thought. "I will have more of this." So after he had given the miller's daughter a good breakfast, he took her into a yet bigger room where there was twice as much straw as before. "Now, my pretty one, turn all this into gold for me," he said. "If not, I'll have your head cut off." The young girl could hardly believe her ears. Turn all this straw into gold too? Oh dear, what bad luck had come to her? She sat down at the spinning wheel, weeping bitterly, and tried to do as the little creature had done yesterday, but the straw remained straw, and no gold came at all. Suddenly, in at the window hopped the tiny creature again, twirling his tail even more quickly than before. "Stop crying," he said. "I'll do it all for you if you give me your diamond ring." The girl dried her eyes at once, and joyfully watched the little man spinning the straw into gold. Whir, whir, whir went the wheel, and soon piles of golden thread lay on the floor. But the young girl could not see for the life of her how it was done. When night came, the creature took her diamond ring, called goodbye, and jumped out of the window with the last twirl of his tail. The king was delighted next morning to see the room filled with shining gold. "You are certainly a wonderfully clever little maiden," he told the miller's daughter. "Now, come with me to a yet bigger room. If you can spin all the straw there into gold, I'll marry you and make you my queen." He took the girl to a huge room filled with piles of straw, and there he left her. He was most pleased with all the gold he had, and thought that, search how he might, he would surely never be able to find a cleverer or lovelier girl than the miller's daughter. It would be so very useful to have a wife who could spin him gold whenever he wanted it. No sooner had the king gone than the little creature hopped in at the window again, twirling his tail round and round. "What can you give me this time if I spin the straw into gold?" he asked. "I haven't anything more at all I can give you," said the maiden sadly. "I shan't do it for nothing," said the little man. "I know. You must make me a promise." "What shall I promise?" said the maiden. "Promise me," said the creature, "that when you're queen and have a little baby born to you, you'll give it to me." The miller's daughter promised, for she didn't think for one moment that the king meant to marry her, so she thought that she would be quite safe. The little creature set to work, and soon finished spinning all the straw. Then he said goodbye and went, and the last thing the girl saw of him was a twirl of his tail. Now the king was so delighted with his third lot of gold that he kept his word, and, much to her delight, married the miller's daughter. She made a good queen, and was overjoyed when a little baby boy was born to her. She was hugging him close one day, when who should hop into the room but the little creature again. "What have you come for?" asked the queen in fright. "Have you forgotten your promise?" asked the little man, twirling his tail. "I want your baby." "Oh, oh!" cried the queen, suddenly remembering the promise she had made. "No, little creature, no! I can't give you my darling baby. Ask me anything else but that." The little man grinned and twirled his tail even more quickly. "I'll give you a chance," he said. "Find out in 3 days what my name is, and you'll keep your baby." Then off he hopped. The queen thought of all the names she knew, and when next the little creature came, she told him them. "Is it Arthur, or John, or Peter, Paul, or William, or James?" she asked. But no matter what name she said, the creature laughed and shook his head. Next day, the queen sent messengers all over her kingdom to collect the strangest names there were. For surely, she thought, such a peculiar creature must have a peculiar name. "Is your name Spindle-legs, Squinty, or Roll-around?" she asked. "Is it Twisty-tail, Bandy-shanks, or Crooked-nose?" "No, no, no!" shouted the little creature, twirling his tail fast. "Tomorrow I'll have your baby." The poor queen sent messengers out once more, but alas, they could find no more strange names. One, however, had a strange story to tell. "I was in a dark forest," he said, "when I suddenly heard a noise of singing. I crept up to see who it was, and in a little clearing among the trees I saw a tiny red-roofed cottage. In front of it danced the oldest little creature with a long black tail that twirled in and out, and round and round. On his head was a tray of new baked loaves, and they all bounced up and down as he danced. The song he sang was this: 'Today I brew, tonight I bake, tomorrow the queen's child I shall take. For guess as she will, she'll never know that my name is Rumpelstiltskin, oh!'" The queen listened eagerly, for she knew quite well who the little black-tailed creature was. When the next day came, she saw that he brought a basket to take away her baby. "Well, do you know my name?" he asked. "Is it Hugh?" she asked, pretending not to know. "No, it's not!" shouted the little creature, twirling his tail. "Is it Joseph, then?" "No, it's not!" shouted the tiny man, twirling his tail so fast that it really couldn't be seen. "Is it Charles?" asked the Queen, sadly, as if she could think of no more names. "No, it's not," shouted the creature, and jumped to get the baby, but the Queen held him off. "Then it must be Rumpelstiltskin," she cried. "Oh, no, no!" screamed the little man in a rage. "The witches have told you. Yes, they have." He stamped on the ground and twirled his tail so hard that it came right off and lay on the floor. He picked it up, popped it into the basket, and jumped clean out the window. And that was the last time that the Queen ever heard of him, though it is said that he still goes round trying to find someone to sew his tail on again for him.